Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. So, I woke up this morning as I normally do. Sometimes it's the afternoon, but in this case, it was the morning. And I was like, you know what? For today's video, I feel like just talking about my favorite team, the Detroit Pistons, guys. Because to me, this franchise, this team has been such a huge part of my life. For better and for worse. I mean, it's like a marriage. Isn't that kind of like what a franchise is? You get married to that team. You are committed to each other, unless you're a bandwagoner. But then again, I guess there's bandwagoners and relationships in real life, so it still does kind of make sense. But yeah, I don't have a script or any type of questions laid out. I don't have any of that. I'm just simply going to be, connecting the protons and the neurons and the Jimmy Neutrons inside my brain and just talking about what comes to mind when it comes to this franchise. So if you guys actually do want a series of this where I just kind of ramble on about different teams in the NBA and different things going on, leave a like on this video, man. 1,000 likes and I will definitely do this as a series. I love just talking about basketball. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like when you just go to a basketball court and you have a buddy there, and the goal was to shoot some hoops, but really you find yourself in like a 20-minute discussion about Michael Jordan versus Kyle Singler on who's the greatest three-point shooter of all time, and it just kind of goes in weird directions and stuff like that, and that's just so be it, right, man? So yes, the Detroit Pistons. Now, for the most part, our season's over with. I mean, yes, there's like 20-ish games left, I believe, but the Pistons currently have the worst record in the Eastern Conference, which is actually a little surprising to me because, well, I mean, I'm not surprised by it, but there has been games lately where they have won, and I'm just kind of like, what are you guys doing? Come on, man, like, fade for Cade, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be losing these games, but, yeah, every time I check out the standings, it's like, oh, no, the Pistons are still in last place in the East, so it's okay. Now, wow, we don't have the worst record in the NBA right now. That's the Timberwolves and I believe the Houston Rockets are tied for that with 14 games apiece. I think the Pistons have like 16 wins on this season. So regardless, I mean, the NBA is in a place where you can't really tank anyway. I mean, yes, you can be a bad team, but I don't think you can tank to the extent where it helps your draft lottery odds anymore. I think it's been that way for a few seasons. So, as long as the Pistons finish like a bottom 5 record in the NBA, I'll be pretty happy about that. And it's a pretty deep draft class at the moment. Like, there is a lot of different guys I would not mind getting on this team. Now, obviously, the two that I would want the most, I think, of the prized gems of this draft class is Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley. Now, I feel like there's a ton of guys after that, Jalen Suggs, players like that, man, that teams definitely wouldn't mind getting their hands on. But I think, ultimately speaking, if the Pistons had the first pick in the draft, I would no doubt take Cade Cunningham. And the reason I would do that is because the Pistons kind of need like another starting guard anyway. And I feel like we're at a place where Cade and Killian could play in the backcourt together, and that would be completely fine. So yeah, I would definitely be cool with that. Evan Mobley, if we got him, to be the new starting center of this team, that would be fantastic. Although I do like Isaiah Stewart a lot. But, I wouldn't mind Isaiah Stewart being like a 6-man, like a Montrezl Harrell type going forward either. Like, that would also be completely fine, right? So, yeah, I do think the Pistons will end up getting a good draft pick, and I'm excited to see what Troy Weaver can do with it because, obviously this previous offseason, I think he pretty much nailed the draft. Now, you can have your arguments about Tyreese Halliburton versus Killian Hayes. I totally get that. Rookie season-wise, Tyreese has been the better rookie. But Killian, I still think at times has shown really good potential, and I do think overall is more of a project, right? But I really think it's going to be a case eventually where you can't go wrong with either one of those players. I'm happy the Kings got themselves a gem in Tyrese Halliburton, right? But beyond those two guys, like Isaiah Stewart, I believe is NBA rookie leader in rebounds. I believe blocked shots, which is only like 1 block a game, but regardless, he's still the leader of it, so that's kind of cool. And I think also field goal percentage, I could be wrong about that one, but this guy takes shots and he makes them. And then obviously you also have Saddiq Bey that's been absolutely amazing. Like, Saddiq Bey makes it so I can sleep at night due to us trading Luke Kennard. They got the draft pick, they got Saddiq Bey. I'm like, you know what? I miss Luke. But hey, Saddiq Bey, I actually see like future all-star, superstar potential. I don't know about superstar, but I know all-star for sure. But I think he just had 25 points the other night. So against the LA Clippers, actually. So yeah, I mean, that's just not something that just any player can really do at that age. So as far as the roster right now, I'm going to play a quick little game of keep or move on. So I have the Pistons players listed in front of me, and I'm going to go down the roster and be like, hey, do I actually think this guy's like a future part of this team, or do I think we should get rid of them and, trade him for some draft picks or just move on to somebody else? So yeah, the leading scorer of this team right now is Jeremy Grant. So Jeremy Grant's on that 3-year, $60 million contract. Now, to start the season, when he originally got that deal, I mean, the Pistons at that point were the laughing stock of the NBA. They were saying, how dare you guys give Jeremy Grant that much money? And now it's actually like the steal of a contract. I mean, and it's such a weird place because Jeremy Grant, 23 points, 4 or 5 rebounds, 3 assists per game. Obviously, he's always been a pretty solid defender. I don't think he really has room to get much better beyond that. And I know a lot of Piston fans are a huge fan of his game and stuff. But, I'm at the point with Jeremy Grant where I would not be totally against trading him away. And I know that's probably not a popular answer among the franchise. But the reason I say that is yet again, man, like that contract's great. I think that we could get like 2 or 3 first-round picks for Jeremy Grant. Maybe 2 first-round picks and like a good young player, somebody like that. I know the Boston Celtics were a team that were willing to offer him multiple first-round picks. That's kind of what I'm gauging the interest at. And I mean, like Jeremy Grant, it could really be a case of just putting up great numbers on a bad team, which we're kind of seeing right here. Now, if he were to go to a team like the Celtics or, even these years on the Denver Nuggets, like on those teams, he was a great player on the Nuggets. He's more of a role player though. And on the Celtics, I still think it would be a lot of the same as the Nugget numbers where it's like, okay, he can have those games where he goes off for 20 or 30 points. But for the most part, he's going to be playing behind Kemba, Jalen, and Jason. So you're not really going to expect him to be taking, what is it? I think he's taking about 17 shots per game right now, right, man? So I would be cool trading him for a young player and some draft picks because that's how this team's going to get built is via the draft. I mean, that's what Troy Weaver does. Like he knows how to scout talent out there and bring him to this team and everything. So I guess the risk you do with, you kind of like take on with that is, the Pistons sought out Jeremy Grant. He sought out this franchise. Like he got I think he got offered the same amount of money by the Denver Nuggets, but he chose to come to the Pistons to be a top, guy in the offense here. And that was the same case with like DeLon Wright. Like DeLon Wright's like, I want to be in Detroit, and the Pistons ultimately traded him away. So, after a while, you don't want to get that reputation of, you say something to get the guy here, and then you kind of go back on your word. I still feel like that's a horrible practice in the NBA. I do get that it's a business and everything, but I feel like that might be a case with if they were to trade Jeremy Grant away. It's like teams are going to be like, okay, so do you actually want me, or do you just want me for right now? So, yeah, I like Jeremy Grant. If we keep him, I'm completely content with that. He's only 26. It's not like he's like some 30-year-old putting up these numbers. I mean, by the time his contract's up, he'll be 29, 30, and hopefully resign for the same type of deal. But if he's playing this way, he'll get offered a lot more money. So I'm in the realm where I don't really, if I see much more room for improvement. And, if it's not only the W's, then at that point, you just kind of trade him away for something else. The next leading scorer on this team, believe it or not, man, is Josh Jackson. Now, I will say, I'm not saying it like, oh my God, like Josh Jackson, but, it's pretty damn close. Like Jeremy Grant is the runaway, grand slam as far as like scoring this season. And, we have about 6 guys on this team that are pretty dang close now, in that points per game category. But yes, Josh Jackson, man. Okay. So I'm not going to lie. When we traded for Diallo, and like once Diallo got part of the rotation, once Killian Hayes, got healthy and stuff, I was like, okay, Josh Jackson is probably going to be the odd man out. And he refuses to do that. Anytime this kid is given a chance, he is putting up buckets, man. So he's been getting some playing time as of late. Again, he was out of the rotation for a little bit. I think he might have been injured or something like that. But as of late, once again, like a lot of the early on Josh Jackson that we are seeing. And I will say, as a team that is in a rebuild, as a team that we don't really get big name free agents, those type of guys are so important, and those are the type of guys you want to take a chance on. You want to take a chance on those high lottery picks that, might have just been in a situation where they couldn't really crack the rotation. Maybe they didn't mesh with the rest of the players, the franchise, just like what the franchise is all about, the coach, all that stuff, man. The play style the coach wanted to run. There's so many different reasons. So it seems like Josh Jackson was one of those guys that just on the Memphis Grizzlies, Phoenix Suns, those teams just not really work out, and he's found himself hopefully a home here in Detroit. I don't know if I like him as a full-time starter. I feel like as a full-time starter, he's not like the greatest defender. Now, he does average like a steal a game, which is nice, and also nearly a block, but that's not really a great indicator of defense. So I like the idea of Josh Jackson as somebody that can play the 2 to 4 spot, depending on the lineup. And, come into games and give a little spark off the bench. But as far as a full-time starter, I just don't really know if I see that. That's why I am kind of leaning towards, going for like a Cade Cunningham or, somebody like that as far as the draft class goes. Because I feel like that's probably the position that has the most room for an upgrade is that 2 spot. Because, like I said, Isaiah Stewart off the bench or starting either way. Doesn't really matter to me. So next up on this team, so I'm going to say keep Josh Jackson if the deal is right. Like, I'm not overpaid for him, but I would definitely keep him, assuming he knows his role and knows what to expect of himself going forward. And another little bit of a surprise lately has been Corey Joseph, man. Like, I did not expect Corey Joseph to even really be part of the rotation. I thought this was going to be a guy that, was like 30 years old, that doesn't really fit this rebuild or anything like that. It was going to come on this team, be somebody to ment the young guys out there. But when he's actually playing, like, Corey Joseph has been nice. And I think Corey is using this as an opportunity to try out for some contenders next season, because this is the opportunity to show, like, hey, guys, like, I still got something to offer. I don't think he's part of the long-term plans for Detroit. It just wouldn't really make sense for him to be. There's so many young guards on this team, and while in the moment it's kind of fun to watch him and stuff, it's just like he doesn't really fit the long-term plans, and he will be given an opportunity somewhere, though. Like, I could see him being a great pickup for a team like the Milwaukee Bucks as like a backup point guard, or Los Angeles Lakers. One of those teams that are in contention for a championship. That's not going to happen this season, obviously, but I think he's going out, showing out a bit, man. Being like, hey, I still got something out there, right? I really liked him back when he played for the Toronto Raptors, by the way. Okay, so the next guy, big part of this team, Saddiq Bey, man. So Saddiq Bey, I cannot say enough about this kid. There is a lot of room for improvement in his game, but the early on, like, he's got good bones, man. They say about like houses and stuff, like, as long as you have that foundation, the rest of what you can do with it is, up to you, right? So as far as being like the 6'8", 6'9" player that can play multiple positions, has a beautiful jump shot, has the range, to go along with it. The rest is up to him. So I want to see him improve his defense. I feel like that's the route that will really get him to be an elite level player, is being that defensive player, not only being able to drop 25 points in a game, but also being able to, lock up your guy on defense, right? Like, it's extremely important for any championship team, especially in Detroit. Like, that's like the whole thing about the Pistons is like the defense, right? Going back to the bad boy days, that's how we've always built our great team. So he has to really work on that. That will come in time. Maybe like the playmaking could be a little bit better. He's only averaged about 1 assist per game. He's typically used as a catch-and-shoot player, off the arc and stuff like that, run off some screens and everything, playing in the corner. And, every once in a while he can also catch the basketball and, make a play for himself, a little bit of a step back. But also, I want to see him work on his driving game a little bit. Now, it's gotten better as the season has progressed. So that's looking good in that department. And I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed about him, is that we saw early on with him, it's like, okay, this could be a really good player. He has really improved throughout the season. Like, there's little things. He has not improved greatly on any of those aspects, but he's still improved, which shows that he has the mentality to put in the work, right? So, yeah, that's fantastic. Another guy on this list, Diallo. Oh my God, man. Hammy Diallo. I like this kid's game a lot. And to be honest, like, that's why I'm so indifferent about who we really get in the NBA draft, and I really think we should just go for best player available, because to me, like, Diallo, I feel like does have a career as a starting shooting guard. His three-point shot's actually been really good. I think right now, he's shooting 47% from three. Now, it's only off about 1 to 2 attempts per game, but he makes a lot of his, shots in the corner and stuff like that, man. But this kid can rebound the basketball. I love those guards that have that grit and grind factor. And to me, he just, like, reeks of Detroit basketball. I'm like, I can definitely see the potential of this guy. I could see why Thunder fans were a little mad that they traded him away. Now, it looks like Steve Mikhailuk has been actually pretty decent over for the OKC Thunder, and maybe the Thunder don't want to pay Diallo, because I do think he's going to kind of gauge around $15 to $17 million based solely off his athleticism and potential itself. But man, I really love this game. Right now, starting center Mason Plumley. I gonna lie, Plumley has been a lot better this season than I give him credit for at times. He's decent at catching the lobs, decent on the inside, pretty solid rebounder. Now, obviously, my tier, or I guess my level for rebounding, has been going from Ben Wallace to Andre Drummond. Even Greg Monroe was a pretty solid rebounder at the center position at times before we really got Drummond incorporated in the lineup. But so that's kind of like my gauge. So he's averaging about nine rebounds per game. Love the playmaking from him. He does actually kind of play like a poor man's Jokic, minus the jump shot and stuff. But he's been fine. Another guy though, maybe on a different level from Jeremy Grant in the sense where it's like, okay, like, the numbers are nice, but where do we really see this relationship going? I don't really see it lasting too much longer. I think Mason Plumley probably will be gone after the season. And I think that was probably the plan all along, was like for Weaver to get this guy on really a not bad contract, like I think it's $7 million a season for Plumley. A lot of people laughed at that, but for 10 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists per game, and about a steal and a block. He's also shooting 60% field goal percentage, so he finishes around the basket. Like, a lot of teams would definitely pay that money for that type of guy. So, I mean, the passing's really what sets him apart from other, type of centers in the NBA. So, I'm fully expecting the Pistons to trade him away. Probably for a draft pick. There's going to be some sort of team out there that has like a late first round pick where it's like, yeah, we'll take Plumley, and you can have our pick. The pick's not really going to help us right now, and Plumley definitely will, right? Beyond that, we got Wayne Ellington. I know the Pistons were trying to shop him for a second rounder. I'm actually a bit surprised he's still actually playing right now for this team. Just because, he's fine. Like, I don't mind Wayne Ellington. It's just, like, I would much... he's 33. I would much rather those minutes be going towards some of the other guards on the team, especially because we are kind of, sort of tanking anyway. So, there's not really any value to play Wayne Ellington over a guy such as, like, a Dennis Smith or somebody like that. Frank Jackson's been pretty nice in the games he's played with Detroit this season. He's got pretty decent athleticism, pretty nice jump shot on him, so I like him a lot. He's only 22 also, so that's another guy that I really could see, like, hey, sticking around for a few seasons and see what he's got. But it comes down to the point, man, where you have to make a choice. So we got Frank Jackson, we got Dennis Smith, we got Saban Lee, we got Diallo, we got Killian Hayes, we got Josh Jackson that plays a lot of the 2 spot out there. Like, those are 6 guys already. Especially if the Pistons go for a guy like a Cade Cunningham, then yes, eventually you got to cut some of those guys away. I don't think I mentioned Corey Joseph, so we have a lot of guards on this team, man. But a lot of decent ones, so no great ones at the moment. I see a lot of potential with Killian and Diallo, but that's about it right now. Next up, we got Dennis Smith. I am very indifferent about Dennis Smith. I kind of see where like Knicks fans are at with him, where they're just like kind of like Dennis Smith has like his moments where he does okay, but for the most part, not extremely reliable. And if he's back, that's fine. I wouldn't pay him a ton of money to re-sign with the team or anything like that, man. I'm indifferent. I liked him when he first came here. I was like, okay, I can kind of see it with him, but I don't know, indifferent now at this point. Don't really have too much to say about him. Isaiah Stewart, I absolutely love his game. He does have to work on his rim protection a little bit. Like I said, he is averaging a block per game, which is the most among rookies, but there still is a lot of times, being a 6'8" player in this era of basketball is really not as big a deal at the center position. But yeah, it's still hard to imagine Isaiah Stewart in the future being like a guy that can like consistently stop like Giannis attacking the basket or Joel Embiid. But at the same time, who really does that anyway? Nobody. That's why those guys are some of the best in the NBA. But no, he's actually got a pretty silky smooth jump shot. Like, he doesn't take a lot of threes, but when he does, he seems to knock them down. Like, he's got, because he's got like these broad shoulders. Like, you feel like that jump shot would be just very stiff, but damn, like the dude kind of has like a form of like a shooting guard or something like that. It's really nice to watch at times, man. He kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, like a better version maybe of Jason Maxiell. Like, he's got, like, that hustle of Jason Maxiell. Piston fans know what I'm talking about. But he also has, like, that silky smooth jump shot of maybe, like, an Antonio McDyess. So, I don't really know, man. Saban Lee was a nice surprise this season. I do not see Saban Lee as, like, a future, like, starter in this league. But as far as like a guy off the bench that you kind of know you're going to get like that consistent playmaking from, and a guy that can make some shots for himself and others, I like him in that role. I really hope we keep him around. He's become one of my more favorite players in the NBA. One of the guys I really root for. I just like what he brings, man. So yeah, beyond that, we got Rodney McGruger. Not much to say about him. We got Killian Hayes, guys. So Killian Hayes has had so much hate to start the NBA season. For good reason. He was playing atrociously, but also he was a 19-year-old on a rebuilding team, playing in a completely different country. So you got to give him a little, a little bit of just, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta give the dude some time, right? So recently we haven't really seen too much offensively from him. I mean, he's been a little bit better offensively, but really for me, it's the other things. His defense looks really good at times. His playmaking looks like it could be elite. So I like Killian, man. I'm hoping, big things for him in the future, and it's going to come in time. I'm completely okay with being patient with him too. Like, it's not that big a deal to me. Jahlil Okafor, he's probably gone after this season. He's just very slow. He's very slow, man. He's a very slow player. Sekou Doumbouya. So this is a guy that I've been very disappointed in this season, man. And I don't think it's so much him. I think it's a mix of Dwayne Casey not utilizing him correctly, but I also think his confidence might not be at a very all-time high, and that's because he's not really given that green light that I wish, a 20-year-old that showed really good potential last season would have been given on a rebuilding team. But it seems like Dwayne is being very patient and very critical of Sekou Doumbouya at times. When he plays good, he does earn his minutes out there, but I find when Sekou plays good, it's when he's allowed to be himself out there. To start the season, like, Sekou was expected to be like a spot-up three-point shooter, and that's definitely not his game. Like, Sekou's a guy you want to give the ball to, let him attack the basket, and, use his strength, which obviously he could beef up a little bit, but he's only 20 years old, but you can see like the body frame with the potential to add like 20 or 30 pounds of muscle over the years. Maybe that's a little bit too much, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely there. You can definitely see it coming in time. But yeah, I'm not ready to give up on him, man. So we'll see about that. Tyler Cook, we just signed, I believe, for the remainder of the season a little while ago. Nice high energy guy. Somebody that could give you some garbage minutes, or, right now playing the rotation and stuff, but not really seeing him as like a big part of the future. And then we got Davidus Servadius. He's got a nice shooting form, man. That's all I really got to say about him. So, yeah, this was about 20-21 minutes of me rambling about the Detroit Pistons, guys. This season, obviously is a wash now. It's going to be fun watching these guys develop. I've always been one of those guys that I've enjoyed like a tanking season doesn't really bother me. I've always enjoyed like watching G League games. Back when the Pistons were actually good. And it's like I always liked watching the young players, play and see what they're all about and stuff, and kind of seeing the future of the team. So this right now, it's much better than watching Josh Smith, Greg Monroe, and Andre Drummond front court. I will take this any day of the week over that, man. So yeah, I see a lot of good things. We're still a few years away, but we're building a foundation. I'm starting to see a Troy Weaver identity come together with this squad. And I'm excited to see what happens over the next few years, man. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed this video. If you don't mind dropping that like, this actually went on a little bit longer than I thought. But, hey, it is what it is. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends. You know what? We're going to wait about 20 seconds here so I can title this rambling about the Detroit Pistons for 22 seconds. So, okay, hope you guys are all having a great day. Eat your green vegetables. Drink a glass of water right now. I'm going to go have one right away. Probably drink the rest of my Monster, actually. Okay, and...